Hi friends, today we will discuss about atoms. As we all know, the structure of matter has been an interesting area of research for physicists. Till 20th century, it was assumed that the matter consists of invisible small tiny particles called atoms. Later, it was found that atom is made up of electrons, protons and neutrons. Neil Bohr explained the atomic structure which was well accepted. Thomson's atomic model. J. Thomson found the charge to mass ratio of electron for atomic structure. He described atom as a region in which positive charge is spread out in space with electrons embedded throughout the region, much like the seeds in watermelon. The atom as a whole then must be electrically neutral. Today we will discuss about alpha particle scattering, Rutherford's nuclear model of an atom, Bohr's model of hydrogen atom, calculating the radius and speed of orbits, atomic spectra, and finally we will end the session with questions and answer. I welcome you all. Please note down all the important points. Rutherford's nuclear model. At the suggestion of Hans Rutherford in 1911, H. Geiger and E. Marsden performed an experiment in which they directed a 5.5 mega electrovolt beam of alpha particles emitted from bismuth to 83 to 214 on a thin gold foil. The experimental setup is shown in the figure. Here, the source of alpha scattering experiment, the source is kept inside. Earlier, it was radon. Rutherford used radon or bismuth 214. Marsden used bismuth 14. Later on in these slides, we will study. It was kept inside a lead box so that scattering does not take place here and there, and whatever alpha particles are emitted will go in the form of a beam. It is shown here. Alpha particle is a nucleus of helium atom carrying a charge of plus 2e and a mass equal to 4 times that of hydrogen atom. It travels with a speed nearly 10 to the power of 4 meters per second and is highly penetrating. This beam of alpha particles was passed through a gold foil, a thin gold foil, and the beam passes through it, and it is incident on a zinc sulfide screen as shown in the figure. Most of the alpha particles were passed through the gold foil. It was observed through this experiment that most of the particles passed through the foil as if they were empty space. So, when it was passed through that gold foil, it was empty. Very few particles were seen even deflected backwards completely. Some alpha particles were deflected backwards. This is the nucleus, and this is the here, and it is the atom of a gold atom, and some majority of the alpha particles pass through as if it is an empty space here, and some even deflected back. These are the deflect back and some return back. So, I will read again. Most of the particles were passed through the foil as if they were empty space. Very few particles even deflected backwards completely, reversing their direction. Some you see these are the reversed. Rest ones were deflected from 0 to 180 degrees. The rest of the alpha particles were deflected 0 to 180 degrees to their original direction of motion. This was the direction of motion, and they were deflected from 0 to 180 degrees. Rutherford concluded that most part of atom is empty and all positive charge is concentrated at the center of the very small volume called the nucleus. So, he called this part of an atom as a nucleus, the central part as a nucleus. So, he concluded that most of the part of this in between the orbit, this is the electron orbit, is empty, and all positive charge is concentrated at the center in a very small volume called nucleus. Electrons are moving around the sun. Hence, this model was also referred to as a planetary model of atom. A typical graph of total number of alpha particles scattered at different angles is given in a interval of time is shown in the graph. The curve is a theoretical one, and it is a prediction based on the assumption that target atom has small, dense and positively charged nucleus. This is the graph. This is the graph of the number of electrons, number of alpha particles scattered, that is n, and scattering angle theta. This is the graph. So, a typical graph of total number of alpha particles scattered at different angles, this is the angle in a given interval time, is shown in the graph. The curve is a theoretical prediction based on the assumption that target atom has small, dense and positively charged nucleus. Rutherford's nuclear model. Many of the alpha particles pass through the foil. It means that they do not suffer any collision. Only about 0.14% of the incident alpha particles scattered by more than 1 degree, and about 1 in 8,000 deflect by more than 90 degrees. Rutherford argued that to deflect the alpha particles backward, it must experience a large repulsive force. This force could be provided if greater part of the mass of atom and its positive charge were concentrated tightly at the center, that is at the nucleus. Then the incoming alpha particle could get very close to the positive charge without penetrating it, and such a close encounter would result in large deflection. This agreement supported the hypothesis of the nuclear atom. This is why Rutherford is credited with the discovery of nucleus. In Rutherford's nuclear model of atom, the entire positive charge and the mass of the atom are concentrated in the nucleus. It is Rutherford model which predicted that the center part is nucleus and the entire positive charge and most of the mass of the atom are concentrated in the nucleus with the electrons some distance away. The electrons would be moving in orbits without the nucleus, just as the planets do around the sun. So, the difference between Rutherford experiment and Giger-Madsen experiment is shown here in a chart comparative. Source of alpha particles, we have seen in the diagram, the source of alpha particle in case of Rutherford experiment is radon 22286 Rn, and Giger-Madsen experiment he used bismuth 21483 Bi. So, source of alpha particle was 10 to the power of 4 meters per second. That is the speed of alpha particle was 10 to the power of 4 meters per second, whereas in the case of Giger-Madsen experiment it was 1.6 into 10 to the power of 7 meters per second. Thickness of gold film. thickness of gold film was 10 to the power of minus 6 meter. You see 1 over 100,000 meters thickness of the gold film, and in case of Geiger-Marsden experiment it was still thinner, 2.1 into 10 to the power of minus 7 meters. These are the different setups used by Rutherford and Geiger-Marsden. Then let us find out the distance of close approach and impact parameter. Rutherford's experiment suggested the size of nucleus to be about 10 to the power of minus 15 meter to 10 to the power of minus 14 meters. From kinetic theory, the size of an atom was known to be 10 to the power of minus 10 meters, about 10,000 to 100,000 times larger than the size of nucleus. So, atom as a large, see 10,000 to 100,000 larger, the volume, the size of atom was 10,000 to 100 times greater than, larger than the nucleus. So, nucleus was very small. Thus, the electrons would seem to be at a distance from nucleus of about 10,000 to 100,000 times the size of nucleus itself. Thus, most of an atom is empty space. Okay. He found the distance between the nucleus and the first orbit through his experiments. With the atom being largely empty space, it is easy to see why most alpha particles go right through a thin metal foil. However, when alpha particles happens to come near the nucleus, the intense electric field there scatters it through a large angle. The atomic electrons, being so light, do not appreciably affect the alpha particles. So, the atomic electrons, that is gold electrons, do not affect the alpha particles. When an alpha particle of mass m and velocity v moves directly towards the nucleus, see this is the alpha beam moving towards the nucleus, this is the nucleus, this small circle is a nucleus, okay, and this is a gold atom, the electron orbit, and when a alpha particle of mass m goes with velocity moves directly towards the nucleus of atomic number Z, its distance closest approach is given by, the closest difference is the point where it is deflected back. The alpha particle goes up to this and it deflects back, and the distance between nucleus and the alpha deflected alpha particle is given by R naught, and its value has been calculated as R naught is equal to 2 times k. K is the constant of proportionality, Z into E square divided by E. Therefore, that is equal to 4k into Z into E square divided by mv square, where half mv square is the energy, kinetic energy, and k is the constant 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught, that is equal to 9 into 10 to the power of 9 Newton meter square Coulomb square. So, that was the distance of closest approach, that is distance between nucleus and the deflected beam of alpha particle. Then we will study about the impact parameter. Impact parameter is defined as the perpendicular distance of the initial velocity vector of the alpha particle from the central line of the nucleus when the particle is far away from the nucleus of the atom. See, this is the figure, this is the atom of gold and this is the nucleus. So, the central part of this one is initially if it is going and deflected back, it is the central part, and but majority of the electrons are going through the empty space and deflected like this electrons, because they don't come close to the nucleus and they are deflected like this. So, the impact parameter here, it is the B, the distance between the central line and the deflected line is the b. I will read this impact parameters definition once again. Impact parameter is defined as the perpendicular distance. See, this is the b is a perpendicular distance of initial velocity vector. This is the initial velocity vector of alpha particle from central line. This is the central line and this is the initial velocity vector. When the particle is far away from the nucleus of the atom. See, this is far away from the nucleus. Hence, impact parameter as per the calculations is given by b is equal to z into e square cot theta by 2 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught into e, that is equal to z e square cot theta by 2 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught into half mv square. Please remember these equations. For small value of b, this is for small value of b, cot theta is also small and theta, this is the theta, the scattering angle is large. That is, alpha particles traveling close to nucleus suffer large deflection. So the close to the nucleus suffer large deflection. For b is equal to 0, that is, it is coinciding with that, alpha particle directed towards the center of the nucleus, cot theta by 2 equals 0, or theta by 2 is equal to 90 degrees, or theta is equal to 180 degrees. The alpha particles retrace their path. So when it is 180 degrees, the alpha particles retrace their path. And the third point is, for large value of, it is given here, for large value of b, cot theta by 2 is large. If b is large, cot theta by 2 is large, and theta, the scattering angle, is small. Hence, alpha particle traveling far away from the nucleus suffer small deflection. So, alpha particles traveling larger distance from the nucleus suffer a small deflection, which are traveling nearer, they will undergo a large deflection, and the central one will be turned back. This is the inference. Now let us conclude, write the observations and conclusions of Rutherford's observation. Most of the alpha particles pass straight through the gold foil. So most of the particles pass through, and the number of alpha particles is proportional to the angle. N is proportional to 1 over psi to the power of theta by 2. This derivation is not included in the syllabus, but just I have mentioned it so that you please remember that number of electrons, and this is also shown in the graph in section 12.1.1. That is number of electrons versus the theta, angle theta. So let us go to the point number 1. Most of the alpha particles pass straight through the foil. That means it indicates that most of the space in an atom is empty. Then second observation was, some of the alpha particles were scattered by only small angles of the order of few degrees. The alpha particle being positively charged and heavy compared to the electron could only be deflected by heavy and positive region in atom. It indicates that the positive charges and most of the mass of the atoms are concentrated at the center called nucleus. That is, they are deflected by the nucleus. Alpha particles are deflected by the nucleus. So third observation, a few alpha particles, 1 in 9,000 were deflected through large angles, even greater than 90 degrees. And some of them even retraced their path, that is, angle of deflection was 180 degrees. So these are alpha particles which travel towards the nucleus directly get retarded due to Coulomb's force of repulsion. So Rutherford also observed that The alpha particles are undergoing Coulomb's force of repulsion and ultimately come to rest and then fly off in the opposite direction. These are the three important observations and inferences of Rutherford's experiment. Bohr's model of hydrogen atom. Bohr combined classical and early quantum concepts and gave his theory in the form of three postulates. These are: Bohr's first postulate was that an electron in an atom could revolve in certain stable orbits without emission of radiant energy, contrary to predictions of electromagnetic theory. That means earlier they had predicted that electrons are accelerating and going, and ultimately it should fall and dash against the nucleus. But Bohr's postulate was that electron in an atom could revolve in a certain stable orbits without the emission of radiant energy, contrary to the predictions of electromagnetic theory. According to this postulate, each atom has certain definite stable states in which it can exist. Each possible state has definite total energy. These are called stationary states of atom. That means the orbits are electron orbits are stationary states of atom, where they will be revolving around the nucleus. Bohr's second postulate defines these stable orbits. That is, orbits of the electron movement are defined by second postulate. This postulate states that electron revolves around the nucleus only in those orbits for which angular momentum is integral multiple. Please note, the angular momentum is integral multiple of h by 2 pi, where h is the Planck's constant, equal to 6.6 into 10 to the power of minus 34 joules second. Thus, the angular momentum L of the orbiting electron is quantized. That means orbits are quantized. That is, they are integral multiple. That is, integral multiple means whole multiple of a whole number. Therefore, L is the angular momentum, n is the orbit number, h is Planck's constant, and that is divided by 2 pi. This is the equation for the angular momentum. So let it be equation 1. Bohr's postulate incorporated into atomic theory of early quantum concepts that had been developed by Planck and Einstein. It states that an electron might make a transition from one specified non-radiating orbit to another lower energy. When it does so, a photon is emitted, having energy equal to the energy difference between initial and final state. The frequency of emitted photon is given by h nu is equal to initial energy EI minus EF, final energy, where EI and EF are the energies of initial and final states and EI is greater than EF. See, in the diagram it is shown here. So this is one energy state and another state, and this is the nucleus. Ze plus Ze is the nucleus of an atom, and this is the radius of the orbit. This is the electronic orbit shown in the dotted line. So its velocity is tangential at every point. R is the radius of this. Ze is the nucleus. So here each orbit has got an energy level, state level. Say for example, this energy state is shown here. This is EF. This is the EF, final, and this is EI. So EI minus EF is equal to H nu. This is the equation. H nu is equal to EI minus EF. So EI is greater. This is the higher energy level, and when it falls, it goes to the lower energy level. And electrons can move from the lower energy level up to higher level if some energy is given to the electrons. These are the electrons. See, negative, it is shown in, see here, if you give energy, it jumps from the lower energy level to the higher energy level. Whereas here, if electron gives up some energy in the form of photons, lights or electrons, then it falls from higher energy level to lower energy level. This is the Bohr's third postulate. Now let us calculate the radius, velocity and energy of different orbits and associated electrons. Electron orbits. Electrostatic force of attraction Fe between a revolving electron and nucleus provides the requisite centripetal force. We have studied about centripetal force in lower classes. Hence, we have to equate this electrostatic force and centripetal force to derive the parameters like radius, velocity and energy. Thus, the centripetal force Fe equals electrostatic force Fc. This is Fc is centripetal force. We can calculate velocity, radius, kinetic energy, potential energy and total energy for a dynamically stable orbit in hydrogen-like atoms. So Bohr's experiment was conducted for hydrogen-like atoms. So let us first calculate the velocity. So we will equate Fc is equal to Fe. Centripetal force we know is given by mv square by r. That is, m is the mass of an electron, v is the velocity or frequency divided by the radius. Therefore, that is equal to the electrostatic force, that is Fe. There, that is K is the constant into E into Ze divided by R square. This is by Coulomb's law. This is the two charges. E is the charge of an electron, Ze is the charge of nucleus. And the relationship as per Coulomb's law is E into Ze divided by R square into K, where K is the proportionality constant. Therefore, now what we do is we take this 1r and the square gets cancelled and r remains. So mvr we keep and mvr and we keep outside the bracket. Therefore, that is equal to E into E is square Z. So kz E square from this equation and simplifying. But according to Bohr, mvr, this mvr is the angular momentum. Angular momentum is equal to nh by 2 pi. It is as per the Bohr's prediction, angular momentum as per Bohr's postulate. So that is A is equal to nh divided by 2 pi. This is nh by 2 pi into V equals kz E square, right hand side as it is. Therefore, from this equation, we separate V is equal to 2 pi kz E square divided by nh. So, there are different forms. We can write it as 2 pi divided by 4 pi. We can put the value of k as k is equal to 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught. So, with that, we can calculate 2 pi over 4 pi epsilon naught z into E square h, that is equal to V divided by V is equal to Z square divided by 2nh. This is the equation for velocity. radius r. Same way here also we start with equating centripetal force with electrostatic force, same equation, but here we keep r as it is and take v in the denominator of the right hand side. Therefore, this becomes k into E z e divided by mv square, that is equal to mv. We can put the value of v as 2 pi k z e square divided by nh and simplify. So, we get the value of r as r is equal to n square h square epsilon naught by pi mz e square. Please work out and note down all these points and you practice these calculations and derivations. These are all very important and you may have to solve some numerical problems using these equations. These are simple things. You start with centripetal force is equal to electrostatic force and put the values and straight away derive the formula for R in this case and V in the previous case. Now, kinetic energy. We know kinetic energy is given by half mv square. Therefore, kinetic energy from this equation mv square by r, again same equation, k into E into ze by r square. So, to get half m square we will divide both sides, left side and right side, by 2. So, we get left side will be kinetic energy and right side will be the in terms of the atomic number, the charge of electrons and other constants. So, that becomes Ke is equal to k into z e square divided by 2r. Now, potential energy. Now, potential energy we know it is given by the equation equals k into q1 q2 divided by r. Here r square is not there, only r. Potential energy is k q1 q2 r. So, therefore, q1 is here nucleus, the charge of nucleus z into E, the number of atomic number into the charge, into minus E is the negative charge of electron, that is equal to U, potential energy is equal to this minus kz E square by r. Now, we will find the equation for total energy. Total energy is given by potential energy plus kinetic energy. From these equations, kinetic energy is kz E square by 2r, here minus of kz E square by r. Subtracting these two, we will get E is equal to minus of kz E square by 2r. So, please see here both U and E are same. The total energy and potential energy are same because kinetic energy is half of potential energy. Hence, the minus here it is divide half r, it is full r. So, full r minus half r is equal to the energy, total energy is equal to k into z e square by r. The total energy of electron is z minus negative. You see, total energy is negative. Hence, it is bound to the nucleus. If E were to be positive, then the electron will not follow the closed orbit around the nucleus. Because it is negative, hence it is bound to the nucleus. Let us go through quickly the various formulae studied in this chapter. See, number of alpha particles, that Rutherford experiment we have found n is proportional to 1 over sine to the power of 4 theta by 2, where theta is the scattering angle and n is the number of electrons, alpha particle, number of alpha particles, not electron, alpha particles. Distance of closest approach r naught we have seen, that is given by 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught into ze into 2e divided by half mv square. Impact parameter we have also seen, b is equal to ZE square cot theta by 2 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught into half mu square, where u is the initial velocity of the alpha particle. Radius of the orbit. See here, this is the radius of the orbit, this is the distance closest approach, that is given by n square h square epsilon naught divided by pi m z e square. In a shortcut formula, you can also write it, because n is constant for a particular orbit, h is constant, Planck's constant, epsilon naught is the permittivity, pi is constant, mass of electron is constant, and atomic number we can find out for different. So, n square by z only are variables, remaining are constant, and we can write Rn as 0.529 n square by z in terms of Armstrong units. Some authors and some students use at 0.53, that is also correct. 0.53 n square by z also you can remember easily. Velocity or frequency of the alpha particle, v is equal to 2 pi z e square divided by 4 pi epsilon naught n into h. This we have derived in the previous section, and therefore Vn shortcut formula is, see, z and n are only variables, all others are constants, 2 pi e and h are all constant. Hence, calculating that Vn will be is equal to 2.18 into 10 to the power of 6 into z by n meters per second. Frequency is also given by, in another terms, frequency comparing multiplying and dividing by Ch, we get V is equal to 2 pi z e square, same as this, divided by 4 pi epsilon naught n, as it is n and h. We are multiplying numerator by c and dividing by c at the denominator. This becomes frequency V is proportional to alpha into c by n. Here alpha is equal to 2 pi e z e square divided by 4 pi epsilon naught c h. This part is alpha. Energy of photon is given by energy at a higher level, higher orbit, minus the lower orbit. En2 minus En1 is equal to hc by lambda. Potential energy is given by U is equal to E square divided by 4 pi epsilon naught r, and shortcut formula is minus 2.27.2 into z square by n square electron volts. If you want to calculate it in terms of joules, potential energy is equal to minus 27.2 into 1.6 into 10 to the power of minus 19 z square by n square joules. Kinetic energy is equal to half of this, half of potential energy. Therefore, Ke is equal to E square, half means divide by 2, it is E square by 8 pi epsilon naught r, and this also same way half of this, half of 27.2, and same way is repeated here. Total energy, kinetic, is equal to minus of kinetic energy. See, kinetic energy is half of potential energy, that is minus of kinetic energy. Therefore, it is energy is equal to minus E square divided by 8 pi epsilon naught. Minus, you see minus sign here, and energy is also given by shortcut formula given by En, energy is equal to z square r ch divided by n square, where r is Rydberg constant. R is Rydberg constant, and it is given by the equation m e to the power of 4 8 epsilon naught square c into h cube. Please work out using this formula, and you will get r is equal to me into e to the power of 4 8 epsilon naught square c into h cube. The value of practical value, it is found to be r is equal to 1.097 here, because for electron mass is constant, charge is constant, epsilon permittivity is also constant, permittivity of air is constant, velocity of light is constant, and Planck's constant also is a constant. So its value is a number. You see, r is equal to 1.097 into 10 to the power of 7 per meter. So RHC is called first Rydberg's energy. It is equal to 13.6 electron volt. Wave number. Wave number is given by V vector nu is equal to R into, where R is the Rydberg's constant, R into 1 over n1 square minus 1 over n2 square, where 1 over R equals 911 Armstrong unit. This is 1 over R is very easy to remember as 911. Find structure. We had defined alpha in the previous section, alpha into C by n. That fine structure constant alpha is called fine structure constant. Alpha is equal to 2 pi into Z into E square divided by 4 pi epsilon naught CH. So alpha, value of alpha is found to be, alpha is equal to 1 over 37. Wavelength lambda is equal to, wavelength lambda is given by 12375 divided by E into EV Armstrong units. Therefore 1 over lambda is equals Rz square into 1 over Ni square minus 1 over F square. Please remember this formula. This is also given by the handout issued by the Kendriya Vidyalayas. Energy levels. The energy of an atom is the least, that is the largest negative value when its electron is revolving in an orbit closest to the nucleus, that is the one which, for which n is equal to 1, n is equal to 1. The energy of an atom, the lowest energy level is for n is equal to 1, and n for other values of n like 2, 3, etc., the absolute value of energy is smaller. Hence the energy is progressively larger in outer orbits. As move outer and outer, the energy becomes larger and larger. That we will see in the calculations. The lowest state of atom is called the ground state. Ground state is that state of lowest energy with electron revolving in the orbit of smaller radius, the Bohr's radius, that is called A naught. The energy of this state, n is equal to 1, E1 is the minus equals is minus 13.6 electron volts. Therefore, the minimum energy required to free the electrons from the ground state of hydrogen atom is 13.6 electron volt. It is called ionization energy of hydrogen atom. This prediction of Bohr model is excellent agreement with experimental values of ionization energy at room temperature. Most of the hydrogen atoms are in ground state. Please see the figure. Using the energy formula, we can calculate the value of the excited state. As we have seen, the ground state here are the first energy state where a value of n is equal to 1, and for the hydrogen atom z is equal to 1. The energy is calculated as minus 13.6 electron volt. If we put n, the value of n as 2 and retain z as 1, we will get the second energy level, that is the value of the second energy level or first excited state. The second energy state is called first excited state. Similarly, for other values of n, that is n is equal to 3 and n is equal to 4, you see this is the most negative, minus 13.6 electron volts, the lowest energy, though number is higher, but because of the negative it is the lowest. So, as we go above one orbit above, it is minus 3.4 electron volts, and further for n is equal to 3 we get minus 1.51 electron volt. For n is equal to 4, it is minus 0.85 electron volt. So, hence similarly for n, the value n is equal to 5. These are the excited states and these are the orbit number. This is the first orbit nearest and closest to the nucleus, and this is one of the farthest. Still we can go farther and farther, and these are the respective energy levels. When a hydrogen atom receives as energy by process such as electron collision, the atom may acquire sufficient energy to raise the electron to a higher state. So, when the electrons in energy level collide, they will receive energy from the collision and move to the higher level, that is from minus 13.6 to minus 3.4. The atom is then said to be in excited state. For n is equal to 2, the energy E2 is minus 3.4 electron volt. It means that energy required to excite an electron in hydrogen atom to its fixed excited state is an energy equal to E2 minus E1, that is E2 is minus 34 minus of minus 13.6, that is equal to 10.2 electron volt. Similarly, E3 minus 1.51 electron volt and E3 minus E1. E1 is 13.6, that becomes 12.09 electron volt. Or to excite hydrogen atom from ground state, that is n is equal to 1 to the second excited state, this is n is this energy equal to minus 1.51, n is equal to 12.09 electron volt energy is required, and so on. From these excited states, the electron can then fall back to a state of lower energy, emitting a photon in the process. Suppose the electron falls from the higher energy level to the lower energy level, the energy, the difference of energy is emitted as photon. Thus, as an excitation of hydrogen atom increases, the value of minimum energy required to free the electrons from the excited atom decreases. Hence, to move from a lower state to a higher state, electron absorbs energy and goes to higher level. When it falls from the higher energy level to a lower energy level, it emits electrons, that is it emits emission. This is called falling from higher to lower is called emission, and going from lower to higher is called absorption. This we will see in the next slide. This is the diagram shown for different energy levels. See, for n is equal to 1, the ground state, it is called ground state, and n is equal to 2, higher energy state, and so on and so forth. These are the different energy levels. When the electron falls from energy level 7, R5, R4, R3 to ground state, it is called Lyman series. About this series we will study in this slide. Atom spectra and spectra series. Emission spectrum. When an atomic gas or vapor is excited at lower pressure, usually by passing an electric current, that is through it, the emitted radiation has spectrum which contains certain specific valence only. A spectrum of this kind is termed as a emission line, and it consists of bright lines on the dark ground. The spectrum emitted by atomic hydrogen is shown in the figure. The study of emission line spectra of a material can therefore be served as a fingerprint for identification of gas. Absorption spectrum. When a white light passes through gas, or we analyze the transmitted light using a spectrometer, we find that some dark lines in the spectrum. These dark lines correspond precisely to those wavelengths which were found in the emission line spectrum of the gas. These are called absorption spectrum of the material of the gas. This is another form of writing the spectra, atomic spectra. You see, this is the nucleus. Here the first orbit n is equal to 1, n is equal to 2, and this is n is equal to 3, and n is equal to 4, 5, and so on. So, this falling from this n is equal to 6, all falling to n1, they constitute Lehman series, and all electrons falling from n6 or n5 to 2, they fall up to 2. These are called Balmer series. This is n2. From n is equal to 6 or n is equal to 5 or n is equal to 4 to, they fall into the energy band n is equal to 2. This second energy level. Similarly, Paschen series, when n is equal to 3, it is called Paschen series. When n is equal to 4, we have bracketed numbers, that is from 5 to 4, n is equal to 4. Similarly, n is equal to 6 to 5 is called Pfund series. Here it is clear, Pfund series, that is n is equal to 7 to n is equal to 5. When they fall to 5, it is Pfund. When they fall to n is equal to 1, it is Lyman series. Now, there are limitations of Bohr's model. Bohr's model involving classical trajectory picture, that is planet like electron orbiting from the nucleus, correctly predicts the gross features of hydrogen atoms, in particular the frequencies of radiation emitted selectively or selectively absorbed. This model, however, has got following limitations. The Bohr model is applicable to hydrogenic atoms. It cannot be extended even to mere 2 electron atoms such as helium. The analysis of atoms with more than 1 electron was attempted on the lines of Bohr's model for hydrogenic atoms, but did not meet any success. Bohr's model was applicable only for hydrogen atom. Difficulty lies in the fact that each electron interacts not only with the positively charged nucleus but also with the other electrons. This formulation of Bohr model involves electrical force between positively charged nucleus and electron. It does not include the electrical forces between electrons which necessarily appear in multi-electron atoms. That is, the reaction due to one electron on another electron is not taken into consideration. So, when more than one electron is there, the Bohr theory fails. While number 2, while Bohr's model correctly predicts the frequencies of light emitted by heterogenic atoms, the model is unable to explain the relative intensities of frequencies in the spectrum. In emission spectrum of hydrogen, some of the visible frequencies have weak intensities, others are strong. Why there is a difference? Experimental observations depict that some transitions are more favored than others. Bohr's model is unable to account for these intensity variations. Bohr's model presents an elegant picture of an atom and cannot be generalized to complex atoms. For complex atoms, we have to use a new and radical theory based on quantum mechanics, which provides a more complete picture of the atomic structure. So, this quantum mechanics we will study in subsequent chapters. Now, let us go to question and answer section. Example 1. It is found experimentally that 13.2 electron volt is required to separate a hydrogen atom onto an electron and proton. Compute the orbital radius and velocity of electron in an hydrogen atom. Given total energy E is equal to minus 13.2 electron volt. That is equal to, in terms of joules, minus 2.2 into 10 to the power of minus 18 joules. So, we know charge of an electron is equal to 9 into 10 to the power of 9 into 1.6 into 10 to the power of minus 19 joules. So, thus E is equal to, we have to find, simply substitute in formula, E is equal to minus E square by 8 pi epsilon naught R. Therefore, R is equal to, rearranging, we get R is equal to E square divided by 8 pi epsilon naught into E. Substituting, we get value as R as 5.3 into 10 to the power of minus 11 meters. Please work out in your notebooks. Therefore, velocity is given by the formula V is equal to E divided by under root 4 pi epsilon naught mr. That is that we can, by substituting, we can get 2.2 into 10 to the power of minus 6 10 to the power of 6 meters per second. Example number 2. In accordance with the Bohr's model, find the quantum number that characterizes the Earth's revolution and Sun in an orbit of radius 1.5 into 10 to the power of 11 meters with orbital speed of 3 into 10 to the power of 4 meters per second. Mass of Earth given as 6 into 10 to the power of 4 kgs. Bohr's theory says mvr is equal to nh by 2 pi. Therefore, substituting the values, we get n is equal to 2.56. So, that is the orbit number. Example 3. What is the shortest wavelength present in the Paschen series of spectral line? The shortest wavelength of spectral line series is given by the equation 1 over lambda minimum. Here you know n is equal to 3. Therefore, r into 1 over 3 square minus 1 over n square. That is equal to r by 9. 1 by n is infinity. R by 9. Therefore, lambda minimum is equal to 9 divided by R. R is given, 1 by R is, value of R is 1.097 into 10 to the power of 7. We have to remember Rydberg's constant. That is equal to, lambda is equal to 8204.2 Armstrong. Example 4. A difference of 2.3 electron volts separates two energy levels in an atom. What is the frequency of radiation emitted when the atom makes a transition from upper level to the lower level? Given E2 minus E1 is equal to 2.3 electron volts. So, V nu is equal to what? Frequency equals what? E2 minus E1 is equal to 2.3 electron volt. We have to convert it into joules. 2.3 into 1.6 into 10 to the power of minus 19 joules. So, H nu is equal to E2 minus E1. Therefore, knowing the values of H, we can calculate the value of frequency. That is given by nu is equal to E2 minus E1 divided by H. And simplifying, we get 0.557 into 10 to the power of 15 meters per second or hertz. 5.6 into 10 to the power of 14. So now we will switch over to the short questions and answers. What is the ratio of nuclear densities of two nuclei having mass number ratio 1:4? nuclear density is independent of the mass number. So, the ratio will be 1:1 only. Which has greater ionizing power, alpha or beta? Alpha particles is the answer. In Bohr's theory of model of a hydrogen atom, name the physical quantity which equals the integral multiple of h divided by 2 pi. Answer is angular momentum, that we have just seen in the previous slides. What is the relation between n, the number of orbit, and radius of the orbit electron in hydrogen atom according to Bohr's theory? The relation is r is directly proportional to the n square, that is orbit square, orbit number square. Among the alpha, beta and gamma relations, which are the one affected by magnetic field? Alpha and beta particles are affected by the magnetic field, whereas gamma particle is not affected by magnetic field. Why do particles have high ionizing power? Because of their large mass and large nuclear cross section. Write the relationship between the half-life and average life of a radioactive substrate. This we are going to study in the next chapter. Half-life and other things. Let us skip for the time being. Question number 8. Name the physical quantity whose dimensions are same as Planck's constant. Planck's constant and angular momentum have the same dimensions. Write two properties of alpha particles. 1. They are reflected by electromagnetic field and absorbed by matter. Velocity 1/10th of velocity of light. Ionizes gas. Write limitations of Rutherford model of atom. It fails to explain the stability of atom. Orbiting electrons should continuously emit energy and ultimately they should fall. But electrons are stable. That means he said the electrons are going around the nucleus and they are accelerating. So, accelerating electrons should lose energy and they should ultimately fall towards the nucleus. But it is not happening. We have observed all electrons are stable. Hence, his theory, Rutherford's model fails. And it also fails to explain the line spectrum of an atom. Explain the observation and significance of Rutherford alpha particle scattering experiment. The following observations were made in Rutherford alpha particles scattering experiment. Most of the particles were passed through the foil as if they were empty space. Very few particles were even deflected backwards, completely reversing their direction. Rest ones were deflected from 0 to 180 degrees to their original direction of motion. Rutherford concluded that most part of atom is empty and all the positive charge is concentrated at the center in a very small volume called nucleus. Electrons are moving around the sun. Rutherford's experiment suggested the size of nucleus to be 10 to the power of minus 15 to 10 to the power of minus 14 meters. From kinetic theory, the size of an atom was known to be 10 to the power of minus 10 meters. About 10,000 to 100,000 times larger than the size of nucleus. Thus, the electrons would seem to be at a distance from the nucleus of about 10,000 to 100,000 times the size of the nucleus itself. That is, the distance is very far off. Question number 2. State Bohr's postulate for explaining the spectrum of hydrogen atom. Answer. The first successful picture of atom was given by Bohr. His model explained the electromagnetic radiations coming out from the hydrogen gas. This model was historically important for development of quantum mechanics. To explain his model, Bohr made some postulates. First, electrons revolve around the nucleus in stationary circular orbits where centripetal acceleration is provided by the Coulombic attraction of the protons on electrons. Number 2, it is only possible for an electron to move in an orbit instead of an infinite orbit as in the case of classical mechanics, for which its orbital angular momentum L is given by mvr equals h divided by 2 pi, where h is the Planck's constant and n is the quantized permissible orbit. And postulate number 3, the electrons revolving in one of these orbits does not radiate. These non-radiating orbits are called stationary orbits. Energy of electron changes only when there is a transition from higher orbit to lower orbit or from lower orbit to a higher orbit. Photon of energy is emitted when there is a transition from higher to lower orbit.